Well, I thought the dolls would like some cheese. God damn it. All right, so this pile of clay here will be our first type of cheese. Our first type will be some slices of cheddar cheese for our dolls. And what I did was I chose this size piece of clay to be my one part for today's example. You can make your one part as big or as small as you want, depending on how much clay you want to use, how much of the product that you want to end up with. So what I have here, and these measurements will be in the blog post too, I have 8 parts white, I have 2 parts yellow, and I have 1 part orange. Brand doesn't matter. This all happens to be Fimo, but it doesn't have to be. This is Fimo white, Fimo tangerine, and Fimo sunflower yellow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the camera off, and I am going to work with these pieces of clay until I have this all combined and conditioned and it's all one color. So I'll be back when that's done. All right, so I've got this combined and rolled out, and I don't know what this gunk is that I picked up. I think I picked it up out of my pasta machine, which is kind of gross. So now I'm going to use my ruler. Once again, I'm going to warn you, if you use a ruler like this that's plastic with your clay, be sure that you wipe it off when you're done so that you don't ruin your ruler, because raw polymer clay will melt a lot of plastics, and I don't want to take a chance with my ruler. It may or may not melt this, but just in case. All right, now I'm going to cut this into 1 1/4 inch squares, because that's about, I just used a slice of cheese to make my lunch a little bit ago, and I measured mine, and the slices I used were about 3 3/4 of an inch squares, so the doll size will be 3 1/4. That's really crooked. I think my ruler's crooked and I can't get my head over the top of it. Okay. I love using this ruler because, and this is a new copy of the same ruler I've been using. It's so nice to be able to see through, to see what I'm doing. Did I measure that right? I'm not used to this ruler yet. Yes, I did. I don't have quite enough. That's okay. I can run it back through the pasta machine. There's I think actually, because I want a little more space than I would get on a plate. Still want to keep the texture correct on the bottom. Excuse the noise. I have parchment paper. And I have a ceramic tile. Ceramic tile I'm going to have to set off to the side. There's not room on my table. But what I will do is transfer these from here to another tile that's covered with parchment paper. That way I won't end up with a shiny bottom on my slices of cheese. And I don't really want that little miscut there. So I am going to continue cutting. I will re-roll any scraps, and I'm going to cut as many slices of cheese as I can out of this amount of clay. When I get it all cut and move to the tile, I will bake it at 250 degrees for probably about 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. Alright, so now our cheddar cheese slices are baked and ready to display. Now, another thing you can do is keep some of that clay mixed or keep the formula. So if you want to make like a burger or something, which may or may not be a hint for a future video, then you could form the raw clay down onto your burger and have it melty. But there we go, some slices of cheddar. Let's move on to some Swiss cheese slices. Alright, so once again we have a pile of clay, the same size for a base unit. This time it's for Swiss cheese, and it's 8 parts of translucent, a half part of yellow, and 2 parts of white. and I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to get these all conditioned and mixed together so that they form a single color, and then I'll be back and we'll make some Swiss cheese. Alright, now I've rolled this out on the third setting of my pasta machine again, and I'm actually going to make some holes before I cut my blocks of cheese. I think it'll just be easier. Not all of these are going to be in our pieces of cheese, but some will. Just randomly make some holes. I'm using some clay cutters from Kempfer. I will and these are optional. You could use a straw, or you could just use the next step that we're going to do. But this is a quick way to do some holes on camera. And I did dust my clay with some cornstarch before I ran it through the pasta machine the last time, because this clay is really soft and I'm having a lot of trouble with it. It wants to stick to everything. Get that out of my cutter before I forget and put that away. Put that in it. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to do, after I get that clay out, is I have a ball stylus here. I'm going to make those holes a little more rounded so they don't look like we just use a cutter to cut them. And what I'm doing, I don't know if the camera's picking up, but I'm rounding the edges of those cuts off. And then I need cornstarch on this too. That's better. When your clay starts sticking to things, get some cornstarch out. Ball styluses are sometimes called dotting tools. You can find them usually with the clay at your regular craft store. This is part of a set of clay tools that I purchased many years ago. Alright, now let's go ahead and cut some pieces of cheese and see how many we get. Let's start over there. Because past that point it's not very good. Right up to 1.25 inches. Now, am I going to get two across? Yes. I am barely here, but okay. My ruler is in my way. I'm lining up one of these lines with the cut edge there so that I can make a line that's 90 degrees to that. I think I got my ruler just a little bit crooked, but that's okay. So I got 4 out of that. I'm going to move these to my parchment lined tray again. This part of the clay I will just run through the pasta machine again and repeat the process until I pretty much run out of clay. Then I'll bake all the squares of Swiss cheese just like I did the cheddar at 250 degrees for about 5 minutes. And when they're baked and cooled, I'll come back and we'll look at the cheese that's finished. Alright, here's the Swiss cheese fresh out of the oven. It's fairly well cooled by now. But I think that turned out really cute. It's not as straight as the other because of the holes. It makes it a little harder to move it and keep it intact, but kind of trim it up there. And also because this has, I'm pretty sure that was Sculpey 3 on the translucent, so it was really soft. But that's how that turned out. And then we add our cheddar, and I think the dolls have plenty of cheese now to do some snacking. Maybe we should make them some crackers next week. Just have to come back next week and see if that's what we do. In the meantime, be sure and check the blog post because there'll be more details and the formulas for the clay amounts. And if you haven't found us on Facebook, please do so. I'd love to have you join me over there on the Facebook page, and I'd love to have you show me pictures of what you're making. I'll talk to you later. Bye.